I'm Dean, I'm the dad.
I'm Laura, I'm the mom.
I'm Arthur, I'm the son.
And together we are
Family Plot.
Very nice, very nice. Let me get the housekeeping out of the way. First and foremost, if you want to help us out financially, there's a couple of ways you can do that. There's Patreon, which is a $1 and $3 donation. You get interesting things like, ad-free copies of the episode. We can do that. And other stuff for donating. So, yeah, you can do that. Or if you can't afford a monthly donation, which we certainly don't have a problem with, you can always do a donation of $1 or $2 through Buy Me a Coffee. If you enjoy the show, please share it on social media.
Share it with friends.
Share it with family.
With everyone.
If you don't enjoy the show,
Please
keep it to yourself. Alrighty then. Tonight, we go back to 1700, where we meet Anne Bonny and Mary Read, two female pirates who took Nassau by storm. Well, by ship.
Can I just stop right here and say, with all the female pirates that we have met just in the last couple of months, I really want to know why it took Disney so long to throw Uma out there as being an awesome piratess and get, Jake and the Neverland Pirates out there. Because really, there should have been some more female pirates going down in Disney with all the female pirates that we've talked about.
Exactly. That's my thing. And also Nassau, that sounds like NASA.
Yes, which is interesting because next week we will be talking about NASA.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Woo!
But as I was saying, these two ladies took Nassau by storm. Actually, more likely, probably by ship.
Or just by sword.
By lightning.
Cutlass.
But in 2 months became pirates of some famed and fierce reputation that they are still talked about today, and we're going to cover them today in this female pirate episode of the Family Plot Podcast.
Well, no, there's actually no R anywhere in our name.
R, the pirate, that's what pirates say.
Say, yo ho, a pirate's life for me.
We aren't Disney pirates. We're
That is not just a Disney pirate song. That's a real pirate song. They sang it in the Goonies. The Goonies wasn't Disney.
The Goonies weren't real pirates. The Goonies were the Goonies.
But they found real pirates.
They found One-Eyed Willie.
Yeah, One-Eyed Willie was a real pirate. That's why he had all that pirate treasure.
Arr, you mateys! Okay, let's move on.
Starting with Anne Bonny, very little is known about the early life of Anne Bonny. We think she was born around 1698 in County Cork, Ireland. But frankly, we don't even know that for sure. Many point out that Anne is a more common first name in England than Ireland, and the surname Bonny is quite common around the English countryside of Lancashire. Most of what we know of Anne and her life comes to us through the book The General History of the Robberies and Murders of the Most Notorious Pirates, and that I'm pronouncing that as it is spelled, Pyrates, which was written by Captain Charles Johnson.
Okay, I need to stop you right here and just say one thing. I'm glad that we're finally past this line, because I have been sitting here looking at this line and I keep thinking it says General Hospital and not General History. So I'm glad we're past it now.
It's General Hospital, not General History, not General Hospital. So, yeah. Anyway, some people think Johnson is a nom de plume of English writer Daniel Defoe, who I kind of doubt is related to Willem Dafoe, the actor, but who knows?
That's where I've heard that last name.
Yeah, I doubt he's in any way, connected to the guy that played the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
We could hope. Anyway, some consider this book a bit speculative. Others consider it fanciful and full of untruths and half-truths, and some claim it's a complete work of fiction. However, it's all we have, so according to the book, Anne Bonny's father was an attorney who some claimed was named William Cormac. Cormac hired Bonny's mom, Mary, as a domestic, while Cormac's wife moved a few miles away to take care of her mother. William soon entered an affair with Mary, and in this case, again, that's
speculation.
Well, no, Mary is Anne's mom.
Okay.
Mary is Anne's mom. So, yeah, because we will talk about Mary Read later, and I do not want the two to get confused.
That makes sense.
So, so William soon entered an affair with Mary, which lasted until William's wife discovered it. William attempted to reconcile with his wife, who wouldn't hear of it. Way to go, you, in 1692. Mary went into prison for several months, and William raised the daughter he had sired on Mary. He named her Anne, but raised her as a boy for some time until word of his affair got out among the townspeople. He, Mary, and baby Anne, because Mary was out of prison by that point, were forced to go to Charlestown, South Carolina, where William became a merchant and did quite well for himself. Even when Mary died of typhoid fever while Anne was in her teens, she remained with her father. Now, I should point out we're entering the area where we can confirm some of this, if only through the records of her trial, where some of this was talked about.
Right.
Her father then arranged a marriage for his daughter with a wealthy merchant, but she fled, marrying sailor John Bonny. Anne was married to John for some months, but the relationship was not considered good. Bonny had a temper and used his fists, but Anne did not fear him and often outfought him.
Good for her.
Putting him in his place. It is believed that Anne had the habit of putting men in their place. A possibly apocryphal tale tells us that shortly after her mom died, a man wanted to have a sexual liaison with Anne. Anne told him she wasn't interested. He insisted. She beat him so badly that he had to be put under the care of a doctor for several days.
Good for you.
So, that's the early life of Anne Bonny, or as much as we know about it. And like I said, a lot of that is speculative.
But she sounds like a heck of a lady.
Oh, yeah, no, she had no lack of fire.
Sounds like it.
And now, before we get to the next bit, I suggest we go visit Arthur in his corner. And since I do not have claps, let's put in a short pause and I will add them later.
Hear ye, hear ye! Allow me to present Arthur's Corner!
Take it away, Arthur.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the corner.
Hi, Arthur.
How are we doing this week?
I have COVID and the flu.
Yeah, that's pretty awful, guys. We're just gonna be stuck in the house all week.
Sorry.
It's okay. We at least get to talk about cool people like Anne Bonny and Mary Read.
That's
well, mostly cool. They did some stuff that was definitely uncool, but mostly cool.
Gotcha. Well, pirates. They have to They have to do a couple of on-the-edge things every so often as part of the pirate code, I guess, somewhere in the, bylaws.
Yeah, unless you're the Dread Pirate Roberts, in which case you can have a houseboy named Wesley that you say, good day, Wesley, I'm going to bed, or most likely I'll kill you in the morning.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Wesley is tied in a chair, holding a light bulb. Why is he holding the light bulb? Nobody knows. It's just kind of...
What else did you want to talk to us about in your corner this week, Arthur?
Other than pirates and art.
Yeah, mateys. Dang. Okay. Well...
Right.
Cat fight! It's Obsidian and, Apollo.
Yep.
Yeah, Apollo is essentially telling the Obsidian, which, those are just two of the cats that live with us. But yeah, so Apollo is essentially was essentially telling Obsidian, please get your fat rear out of my face.
Yeah.
Or move so that I can be ridiculously stretched out on this windowsill.
Yeah, that's what he likes. He likes to be stretched out.
Yeah.
He likes to hang a bit.
Yeah.
Same reason some men like boxers.
Ha ha ha.
Okay.
Alright.
Well, we went to the pool today.
Yeah.
I'm still in my pool clothes, but that's okay.
So, no wonder you smell like you've been working at a weapons factory.
It's not a weapons factory, Dad. It's just the pool.
I know. There used to be a weapon called fluorine gas. I'm amused. We'll talk about World War I one day. Probably. Maybe. Or at least bits of it.
I thought we talked about Batman and Little Boy. Was that 2 and not 1?
That was 2 and not 1, and that was actually a specific event in the bombing.
Okay, we've discussed the fact that Mom doesn't know very much history.
Well, I'm not very good at history, so...
We've also discussed the fact that Mom does not much care for the names Fat Man and Little Boy for bombs.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I don't.
I don't much care for those names either.
No.
So, you know. We went to the pool. We saw some things. Oh my gosh, the kids at the pool are wacky.
What did they do?
Yes, tell us more, tell us more.
There was a girl, I'm guessing she was like in 5th or 6th grade now. She was talking about how she identified as a toaster, which I don't know what's going on with that, but okay. I know it was a joke. I know that they were just like making fun of people who identify as whatever, but I was like, oh boy.
It's an election.
People are going to always have their own opinions. I have gotten to the point in my life where I can be confident enough in my beliefs and in what I know to be true and right that I don't let what other people think influence how I'm going to live my life, and I would encourage you to do the same. But
Yeah, that's not right. I was just like, for a moment I was listening in, and then I was just like, oh boy, here we go.
Well, and here's the thing, it's an election year featuring Trump. A lot of idiots feel empowered to be completely uncivil.
Yeah. Because, obviously nobody identifies as a toaster. I mean, come on.
No, just like, the guy version of that is, well, I identify as an attack helicopter. Okay, edgelord, whatever. Tell me you're an edgelord without saying you're an edgelord.
Exactly.
So, what else is going on? Arturo?
Arturo?
yeah,
It's Spanish, Arthur.
Spanish, Arthur.
Well, I didn't know that. Hopefully I will know that going into school here soon.
Soon, yes. We have to enroll you.
Yes, enroll me for my high school. Whoa, hey. Don't go around touching feet. Blue already has a foot fetish.
I don't need to know that.
He doesn't, actually. I just like making fun of him.
So, what else is going on in your corner?
There's not much else going on.
Okay, let's take a moment for some applause.
A pause.
Okay, good enough.
Okay, good.
You want to take this next bit, Arthur?
I think so. Marriage and the end of marriage. John Bonny went to the island of New Providence in the Bahamas with Anne, and Anne went with him. John took a job working for Woodes Rogers?
Yep.
Okay. A privateer who happened to be the governor of the Bahamas. In short order, Anne grew bored with life as a married woman and began to hang out with John Rackham. Rackham?
Rackham.
Okay. Most knew.
Rackham, no, it killed him. Sorry.
Most knew. Wait, what? Who most knew as the pirate Calico Jack. So wait, like Calico the cat? Okay. Jack offered to pay Bonny to divorce Anne. Okay. A common practice at the time, but John refused. Still, Anne began to work with Calico Jack on various things. In August of 1720, Anne assisted Rackham in taking the sloop William, and worked with him as part of the crew. At some point, the crew took on Mary Read.
Now, at this point, we should have a Meet Our Guest segment, but our guest was unable to join us this week, and will join in on another show, so...
I got it from here a bit.
Yep.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about Mary Read. Much of the following comes from Captain Charles Johnson's General Histories, and as we mentioned earlier, much of this work is considered speculative at best. She was born to the wife of a sailor and her lover somewhere around the year 1695. She had an older half-brother fathered by the sailor before he abandoned the family. When her half-brother died, Mary was dressed and presented as the dead boy in order to get the money from the paternal grandmother. Mary stayed with the older woman until her grandmother died when she was just 13. Mary, like Charlie Parkhurst, continued to dress as a boy and present herself as one. She went to Flanders, where she joined the military. It's likely she revealed her actual sex to one of her fellow soldiers as they left the Flanders military with her new husband to open an inn. Mary ran this inn for a couple of years before the surprising death of her husband.
And if you think Mary was surprised, you should have seen how surprised he was.
You're so cute. Reed presented as a man once more, eventually getting a job as a sailor and finally becoming a pirate. Mary made her way to Nassau, where she eventually joined Calico Jack's crew and made the acquaintance of Anne Bonny.
And now let's take a moment for a word from our sponsors.
And I feel sponsored.
I feel sponsored.
Awesome. So, I'll take this next bit.
I can take it.
Okay, yeah, well, if you would rather, Chris, or Arthur, sorry.
You're good. Once aboard the William, Bonny and Reed. Reed? Okay. Stood out among the crew. Mary continued to present as a man, while Anne only presented as a man during battle. The two were known to use coarse language, much profanity, would fight at the drop of a hat, and drank and smoked with the other pirates. For 2 months, the Williams sailed near the Bahamas, attacking and plundering other ships. Unbeknownst the crew of the William, the governor of the Bahamas had hired a captain, John Barnett, a privateer who hunted other pirates to find the William and capture its crew. He discovered a ship at Port Negro?
I believe so.
And if it's not that, I feel so bad, and I'm sorry. In the Bahamas, and quietly watched it from the distance. Realizing that the crew was celebrating a recent plunder, Barnett let them party before sailing towards the pirates. The ship took off from Port Negril before Barnett got there. However, Barnett was able to close the distance, probably because most of the pirates were drunk. In fact, when Barnett and his crew boarded the William, the only pirates in any shape to fight were Anne Bonny and Mary Reed, and the rest of the crew being too drunk to fight. Eventually, the crew of the William surrendered, and pirates were taken to Nassau to stand trial. There have been musings?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Musings that the pair had become romantic. However, if so, none of this was said at the trial.
And this is where we get most of this information, is the trial. So this can be depended upon. And, the official opinion was that these two ladies were hellcats because they were the only two in any shape to fight when Barnett fought the William.
Makes sense.
And they did fight, at least for a little while, until they realized that they just didn't have a prayer, not without their comrades. Which that would suck, right? You see all these people, all right, crew, let's fight!
Absolutely.
Sorry, I had to puke. I can't.
And my stomach does not do well on alcohol anyway. I can't imagine the combination of alcohol and the rough sea.
No, thank you.
The rough sea and fighting.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's take a moment for a word from one of our fellow podcasts. I forget what it is this week, but we'll find out.
Hi, I'm Sean McCabe.
And I'm Carrie McCabe.
We are, well, married, obviously, but we're also obsessed with the darker side of things.
True crime stories, alien abductions, poltergeists. If it leaves you scratching your head and keeping those lights on at night, we want to hear about it.
That's why we host the podcast, Ain't It Scary, with Sean and Carrie.
Every week, we bring our listeners a true story guaranteed to send chills down your spine. From history's most brutal serial killers to the mystery of spontaneous human combustion.
Yep, lots of these stories leave unanswered questions behind, and you'll get to poke through the rubble of the evidence with a hardened skeptic and
someone whose mind is more open to fun.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
The show really feels like just kicking back with us at home and chatting about monsters and tragedies, but having a few laughs along the way.
Just like we'd be doing if the mics were off, frankly.
You can find Ain't It Scary with Sean and Carrie wherever you get your podcasts, and on social media at Ain't It Scary. Come play with us.
Forever and ever and ever.
That was pretty epic.
Yes, it was.
It's
Very spooky.
worth listening to.
I liked it. Okay, the trial of Bonny and Reed. Anne Bonny and Mary Reed were tried together, and much was made of them presenting themselves as men in battle. multiple witnesses testified about the way the two women carried themselves on board ship. And some even testified that they knew the pair were women due to the largeness of their breasts.
Oh, shush. No, you did not.
Well, apparently they did. I mean, we got it from the trial transcripts. Like,
well, yeah, they knew then, but if they had really thought they were women, I think they would have thrown them overboard.
Eventually, after a brief trial, and I mean very brief, because they didn't like pirates and they made no secret of it. If you were a pirate and you were caught, you were as good as dead. The trial was really just a formality.
I got you.
So, after the short trial, the judge announced, you, Mary Reed, and you, Anne Bonny, alias Bond, are to go from hence to this place from whence you came, and from there to the place of execution, where you shall be severally hanged by the neck till you are severally dead.
I see.
And God, of his infinite mercy, be merciful to both your souls.
I see.
Now, afterwards, both women claimed to be pregnant and pled their bellies, which was slang at the time for begging for mercy because they were pregnant.
Uh-huh.
It was one of the few things that females could do that men couldn't. Now, Mary Reed died in prison of unknown causes.
Yeah.
And prison records list her death and burial. Anne Bonny, however, is not listed, and many think that she was freed or escaped and returned to America and lived there for the rest of her days.
Wow.
So we really don't know what happened to Anne Bonny. She could be, I mean, sure, it's unlikely because it's 300 years later, but she could be hanging out with, Sharon Kinney.
Absolutely not.
I hope not.
Absolutely not, because that would be a double count. No.
Anyway.
Do not let Sharon Kinney even talk to that woman, because that woman's a... And Sharon Kinney is not.
Yeah, like, Sharon Kinney was like a low life. This was an epic pirate.
Yeah.
I am sure that these ladies, in their epic pirateness, that they probably weren't going to be epic. Like, that wasn't their initial goal. They had their own reasons, but they became epic pirates, and especially in the 1600s, that's pretty amazing for all of the heck that women went through back in those days.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. I don't know that they qualify as epic pirates because they were really only pirates for a couple of months.
Doesn't matter. The fact that they did it for a couple of days is what's impressive. It was the 1600s. They didn't have a tampon to plug that stuff up.
No, I know, hon. Okay.
You couldn't. Okay, I'm sorry. You have lived with me through periods. Can you imagine how hard it had to be in those cramped quarters for even two women to hide the fact that they were women around a bunch of men?
Well, and there was some suggestion that Rackham might have known both were women. But yeah. But my point in saying were they epic? We covered Qing Shi.
Yeah, well, Qing Shi was pretty impressive, but Qing Shi also had a man along the whole way that she, for the most of it, up till she got to a certain point, she was Qing Shi's wife. She was Qing Shi's widow. These women, they went out and they did it on their own.
And I get that. I'm just saying, if you want to talk epic pirates, give you Qing Shi. If you want to talk pirates, I'll give you Anne Bonny and Mary Reed. I don't know how epic they were, just because they were on the Western Hemisphere, where, this was was very different for women.
Maybe.
Now, I mean, again, I'm not trying to take away from what they did. They competed with men at their own game, and
Absolutely.
and they paid the price for doing so. And I'm not saying that that's not important, because they certainly have a legacy that lasts to this day. I'm just saying, they paid the price for their thing. Well, with the possible exception of Anne Bonny, we really don't know what happened.
Yeah. So let's talk about that legacy real quick, right? Because you mentioned that. So some things that have gone on to their legacy. Some modern artists portray Bonnie as a redhead, but we actually have no idea if that is true. Modern artists also portray Bonnie and Reed as clearly women, though eyewitnesses at the trial contradict this. In 2020, statues of the pair were unveiled at the execution docks in Wapping in London, England. At the time, the podcast Hellcats was portraying them as lesbians with the idea that one woman completed the other. They have also appeared in TV series like Black Sail and Our Flag Means Death, as well as movies and even a few.
Which, speaking of Our Flag Means Death, our fellow podcast that we love so much, Pitney and Amelia's Bitchin' Boutique.
Rock stars.
Yes, they are. But when we posted our picture, our teaser promo, which is really just a picture of the.
They got it right.
Well, no, I when I posted it, because I went to share it in the group that we share. But when I put it in there, I put in parentheses, yes, at Bitchin' Boutique, we know you know who this is. and yep, they came back with, I knew as soon as I saw them. She didn't tell anybody, but she knows who it is. So
very nice.
But I do like the fact that even for only 2 months, their legacy lasted as long as Ching Shi's, who, and actually here in the West, they're even known than she is.
Right, yeah.
And they only did it two months and died. Well, one died for doing it, and the other vanished from history. And then whereas Ching Shi retired a rich, wealthy widow with a gambling junk.
Well, and a title, right?
Yeah.
They gave her a title.
Right. And her own floating casino.
Yep, absolutely.
So, yeah, she was, she ended up a little better than they did. But
she did.
Overall, what they did is certainly impressive. It carried through the ages. They are legends in the Bahamas. Apparently there are bars, or there used to be, where supposedly they once drank.
Nice.
Because or at least Key West, because Key West and Bahamas had a lot of crossing traffic, mostly pirates, and the occasional shark.
I mean, that makes sense.
Although, I found out something, which...
On Shark Week, or?
No, I doing the research for this, actually, there's a pirate thing I've always heard said, which is, do this or I'll keel haul you.
Okay.
And I always thought, what the hell's that? Well, it turns out keel hauling is when a boat sails in the ocean and it docks and whatever, it gets barnacles and other things on it. So what you're doing really is you are taking someone on a line and basically throwing them in front of the boat, and this line sort of drags them back and forth along the bottom. And so all those barnacles and things, they shred their skin and tear them up. And guess what comes along after a while? Especially in ocean waters.
Yeah, gotta do it.
A big shark looking for a free meal. So
actually, probably several, because I would imagine the whole time the ship's going, it's just like, it's like The Walking Dead, really.
Yeah. Yeah, more are coming because of putting all that blood in the water. You're going to get a free feeding frenzy sooner or later.
Yep.
So which, again, kind of weird as Shark Week just ended last week. Oh, I'm so sad. But it is on Max, which is, which is disconcerting because I'm not supposed to stream on Max because they canceled our Flag Means Death, which was such a great show. But it's on Max and it's Shark Week, and I love Shark Week, so I don't know. But that's really our show. It's a little short. It's a little short this week. I apologize for that, but my lady does not feel well.
I am a sick lady.
COVID and the flu will knock you out.
You know, I don't like to do things halfway.
Yeah, you couldn't get just one or the other. You had to get both.
The exact same time, yes, sir.
So,
all right. Well, so I'm gonna buy early.
I was gonna say, did you have any final thoughts you wanted to throw out before you stepped off?
I just think that they went out there and they did what they wanted to do and they lived their best life, and good for them.
Cool.
Yeah.
And that's where I want to leave it, because I'm not going to judge them. I'm not going to try to. That was such a different world than the world I know. It would almost be like living on a different planet. So I'm just going to say good for them if they.
Yeah, I don't know that they were lesbians. They could have.
Right. Either way, whether they were or not.
And even if they were, I don't know that it matters. They were free.
Yeah.
At a time when women weren't supposed to be free.
Exactly, and that's where I say good for them.
And it's kind of the pirate version of Thelma and Louise, kind of.
Yep, I could see that too.
Arthur, any thoughts?
I hope they're lesbians. I hope they were lesbians. That would be funny. But, like, the actual final thought would be, I'm just happy they were able to live their life the way they wanted to.
Yep.
That's my thought process on it. Like, why live your life trying to be so enclosed as a person when you could be so out there, so free as yourself, you know?
Right, absolutely. And that's our show then. Thanks for listening. Thanks for keeping us in the Good Pod's top 100. Right? Which we did really well this week. Boy, y'all liked the Sam Shepard episode. And I'm not sure if it was because of our guest or because of the episode itself, but either way, thank you. Now, let's see. And, okay. No problem. Let's see. Also want to say thanks for joining our Facebook group, which we do have a new moderator for. I don't know that I've ever officially announced that you're our new moderator.
I don't know if you have, but love talking to people. So please come and join our Facebook group. I'll usually throw out some highs and a question in the morning. Try to do more stuff, but throw some info in there. Tell us about yourself. Introduce yourself.
And thanks to Bill Barrett, that last name is spelled Behrendt. Bill did our theme music. If you need music for a project or you need someone to perform at an event, Bill is your guy. You can reach him at billbarrett@sbcglobal.net. Thanks also go out to Paige Elmore of the Reverie Prime podcast. Love our dear Paige, and even though she no longer does the podcast, there's still plenty of episodes for you to listen to. And she also has a Canva addiction, which she combined with her own Krista's artwork to create some logo art for us. Thank you, Paige.
Arthur, you're good. Thank you, Paige.
And thanks to Aaron of Gnurk of the Big Dumb Fun Show, who continues to promote us locally. Also, thanks to Blue Bose, who is our sound engineer. And I have given him a task for next week that will make it even more fun. Join us next week as we dig into the moon landing. Bye!